Social Security is a democratic socialism. Partly unemployment insurance is. The people who pick up your garbage, the people who take the fire out at your house.
3 extreme left-wing congressional candidates just won big in New York, but The View is here to explain that democratic socialism just means firefighters and libraries or something. We're going to break it down. Buckle up. Get ready to lose some brain cells, because really, The View, part of ABC News's news division, where these cackling, lovely ladies bless us with their wisdom and insight, well, they decided to tackle this story about this big wave of Zohran-backed far-left Democratic Socialists of America-backed candidates in New York who won their Democratic primaries, the 3 of them, and they're almost certainly going to win the general election and become members of Congress. And this comes, even though they campaign on really extreme and radical positions that include everything from abolishing ICE and ending all deportations to having total open borders, allowing hundreds of millions of people to potentially pour into the United States, to nationalizing entire private industries, to seizing the means of production, to so many crazy and abolishing the Supreme Court as we know it, so many wild, wild things. Well, Joy Behar, host of The View, is here to explain it to us, and it's no big deal, guys. It's just like having firefighters or something. That's what democratic socialism is. Let's listen to the wonderful wisdom of Joy Behar.
That New York is a bellwether for the whole country.
No.
But obviously New Yorkers are not watching Fox constantly. And so and they're not afraid of the term democratic socialism. If I fall down, I want an ambulance. If my house is on fire, bring your hose. You know what I mean?
What?
We are looking, I'm not scared of the term. I think they're scared of the term in this country. But Social Security is a democratic socialism. Partly unemployment insurance is. The people who pick up your garbage, the people who take the fire out at your house. All of these things are democratic socialism. And there's a major reaction formation going on right now. If you see, we'll see soon, we're talking about it later, about Republican senators are turning, congressmen are turning on Trump. And people have had it with this right-wing, nasty politics that we've had to subject ourselves since this guy got into office. Well,
Me when I just drop facts and wisdom and knowledge. In fact, you know what? We should really just make Joy Behar the chief economist of America because she's got it all down. Yeah, democratic socialism is when you have trash collectors and ambulances. What? No, I mean, she's conflating, like, the existence of any level of government services with democratic socialism, when that is obviously not the case. Even a capitalist republic is not anarchy, has some provision of public goods and government services, but democratic socialism, and you can, once again, I went over this in a video yesterday, you can just look at their actual platform, is a sweeping platform that calls for the construction of a new constitution of the United States, the destruction and eradication of our current constitution and system of government. It calls for a sweeping government overhaul and takeover of the economy. These candidates are open in their desire to seize the means of production, to shift from a largely market-based, private enterprise-based system of our economy that has been effective and grown. And yes, we have some social welfare programs and we have taxes, probably too much for my liking, but debating the level of that is not the same thing as going full socialism. They don't want that. They're not saying, if you go to the DSA website, they're not saying we need more libraries and more firefighters, right? That's not what democratic socialism is. I'm sorry. In their own words, it's things like abolishing all immigration enforcement, having freedom of movement, aka open borders, allowing millions of workers to pour into the country, nationalizing entire industries like the entire aviation industry and making them government-run enterprises, like taking over the entire healthcare system and having government-run healthcare for everyone, like huge increases in taxes and massive new taxes, like Green New Deals and government job guarantees. All of this stuff, massive minimum wage increases, huge boosts to unions, any of these things you might agree with or disagree with. But it is obviously a much more sweeping and radical vision and change than just it's like we already have socialism because it's like social security. It's just totally disingenuous. It's not even an attempt to grapple with the controversial things some of these candidates have said, like that they don't believe in prisons or they want to abolish the police or all the bat insane statements these people have made. But we're just going to downplay it all as, oh, they're just, they just want some public services. It's so dishonest and low information. And yet millions of people tune into this show as if it's some sort of news, of knowledge, of insight. It's actually an insult to your intelligence to look into a camera and tell you that that's what democratic socialism means, when you could literally just go to the DSA website and read the platform. And they are open about the fact that they are revolutionaries who want to overhaul all of society. So then to downplay it like, oh, democratic socialism just means having firefighters and local government services is disingenuous and dishonest beyond belief, especially because the opposition, at least the vast majority of the opposition to democratic socialism, is not people who want literally no government or services at all, right? So that's not what's being debated here. And yet you have this woman just confidently pronouncing this as if it's some sort of insightful take on the situation, rather than just extremely brain cell killing, low IQ babbling. Now, I will say, to give one of the other hosts of The View credit here, Alyssa Farah Griffin, who I really blended in with the View crowd on a lot of liberal and democratic talking points and stuff, but she did stand up on this point and make a pretty strong, offer some pretty strong pushback to the idea that these candidates are just normal, nothing to see here. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Listen, Mamdani does emerge as a kingmaker, but at what expense? He just absolutely neutered Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, who have the job of trying to win back the House and Senate for Democrats, by endorsing candidates against sitting House members.
How did he neuter them exactly?
Because I'm going to get into it. Just let me get into this.
All right.
You just talked about these goods and services. You want the police to come. You want the fire department to come. Well, one of your new candidates, Avila Chevalier, who won last night, wants to abolish the police and all prisons. She was asked 4 times, how would you deal with somebody who committed murder then? What is your plan? And she dodged and didn't answer. She tweeted that Obama is evil, Biden is a rapist and a war criminal, and bleep Kamala Harris. These were not people running on an affordability agenda. These were left-wing extremists that were elected last night at the expense of moderate Democrats. So a seat that you guys do need to win if you want to take back the House.
I don't like the way she sounds at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
so
but she's not the party. But she's one person.
But that is the point, is these candidates that were endorsed by DSA, the Democratic Socialists, were extreme candidates.
I just love Joy's like, wait a minute, I don't like how they sound at all. After 30 seconds ago, she was saying it's no big deal and democratic socialism just means government services. And actually, Alyssa made a good point there that I hadn't fully processed, that Joy listed like the police as one of those government services. And ironically enough, these leftist candidates are, in many cases, the crazy abolish the police crowd. Like the DSA has talked about like ending the carceral state in America, and lots of their members and activists, and it depends candidate to candidate what their exact position is, have called for defunding or abolishing police or abolishing prisons. And yes, one of these candidates, literally, I played this clip for you yesterday, was asked, if somebody who's an illegal immigrant commits murder or rape in this country, should they be deported? And she still said no. She's like, that's discriminatory against illegal immigrants. It's like, these people are bat insane. These are not just like progressives who, want more healthcare access for poor people or anything like that. They are extreme radicals, and that you have these useful idiots in mainstream media on a platform like The View just reflexively defending them. For what purpose exactly? Just like, why? Just out of blind partisan loyalty or tribalism? Because I don't see any reason why, if you're an even semi-normal or rational person, even if you're a Democrat, you would stand on the Hill and try to downplay this insane leftist takeover of the Democratic Party as no big deal or fine and dandy just because they won a couple elections last night. Like, if actually, and also what's interesting about that as well is that these women on The View, and listen, I don't totally disagree with everything they say about him, because I am very critical and think he's been a terrible president in many ways, but their number one issue is hating Trump and resisting Trump. These candidates make it a lot harder for the Democratic Party to win the midterm elections when you have extremists on your side with the most insane public statements, when you have an organization like the DSA that is just open about the fact that they want to revolutionize America. One of these candidates we're talking about, remember, founded an organization that has since said that their mission is to end Western civilization. And you're like, yes, welcome them. Yeah, oh, they just want more local government services. That's what DSA means. No, these people are extremists who are going to be cut into every single attack ad against the Democratic Party, and they're going to be people are going to be asked to denounce this and denounce that. And it's like, if the more, even they are still very progressive, but like the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, who lost to one of these challenging primary candidates, if he had won, it's just, that's a much stronger position for the Democratic Party to be nationally, having to just, run normal candidates like that, semi-normal candidates like that, rather than these far left radicals. They really add very little except in the energy of a progressive base that might swing a primary. But in terms of the national prospects, like, the Democrats were always going to win these seats. So in terms of the goal of helping the Democratic Party, which I assume is the hosts of The View, what they want to see happen, win the midterm elections so they can offer a check and balance against President Trump and control the House and or the Senate. These candidates winning, it gets you 0 additional seats, right? Because the Democrats were always going to win these seats, and it was just going to be a more moderate or centrist or establishment Democrat that would have it, but potentially could cost you other seats by their radicalism and extremism tarring the party's brand and being used against them because it's not going to be sufficiently denounced. I mean, look at how they're rallying around Zohran Mamdani, even though he's just a more polished version of these same exact extremist ideas. The whole situation is yikes, and it's actually bad news for the Democratic Party electorally or politically if you think through it for more than 5 seconds, but they just reflexively defend whatever happens with Democrats. Obviously, there's right-wing media that does that for Republicans, and I think that's similarly pathetic and an abdication of the reason you're there and the whole role, especially in the news division of ABC News, is what we're talking about. Remember, this is a news show. Now, is the news in the room with us? Not so much, but that's what it is on paper. I find the whole thing laughable. I find it an insult to Americans' intelligence. But as long as people keep choosing voluntarily to tune into this show by the millions, you look at the ratings, it gets like 2 or 3 million people tuning into it. It'll continue to exist. It'll continue to curse our timelines. It will continue to make America dumber. And it will continue to provide me with a never-ending source of content to absolutely lose my mind over. So for that, Joy Behar and the ladies of The View, we thank you. We'll be back with more. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit the like button and all of that. And we'll talk again real soon.